What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show, man. Recap with Mo, and a Negro is back in the building, man. I had to take a little hiatus due to vacations and stuff like that, but I am back, and of course, I'm going to go ahead and drop it off on this Power Book 2 Ghost, episode number 8 of season 3, titled What? Sacrifice. And that's exactly what I'm about to do for y'all, because it is actually late tonight here where I am, but we're gonna go ahead and sacrifice this thing. But before we go into this episode, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything that I got going on here on Recap with Mo. But before we get into this, let's go ahead and get into the synopsis for this episode. Alright, so it states that the feds apply pressure to get their suspect to flip. Drew's erratic behavior leads the Castillos to grow suspicious. As Tate prepares to go up against his political opponent, Hopper brings his ethics into question. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this breakdown, alright? So we start off with Davis and Saxe on the rooftop. So obviously, Davis is, he's drunk. He's toe up right now because he's dealing with a whole lot of that's going on right now with his brother. So when he gets on the rooftop, Saxe sees him in this type of way. Davis is like, don't come over here unless you bringing them bottles over here. So of course Saxe goes and Davis tells him to turn up one with him. Of course he doesn't. At least I don't see him doing it at all. But anyhow, while he's there, Saxe tells Saxe that his brother doesn't want to see him. Like, he doesn't want to have anything to do with him because he feels like all this that he took, for those 20 plus years in prison behind bars wasn't worth it, because Davis has set up here and done something out of the way it's not even worth it, because I made this sacrifice for you because you were supposed to be that good apple and was supposed to get everybody out the hood. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand Theo's stance on that. So from there, like I said, he was tore up, y'all. So while he's talking to Saxe is, trying to calm him down, and he's impressed by his drinking habits, of course. But from there, Davis's phone rings, and they are informing him of Diana being arrested. So, okay, he's like, okay, I'll be on my way. So Saxe is right there, and he's, of course, trying to get in so he can get all the information that he possibly can get for Sullivan, right? So once the phone call is over, Saxe convinces Davis that no, you're good. You're not really good for this situation right now. Go ahead and clean yourself up, and I will take care of it. So initially, Davis is like, no, I got it. I can walk a couple of blocks and get myself together. And Saxe is like, no, he's persistent at this point. He's like, no, I can go ahead and take care of that for you, and you don't have to worry about it, right? So Davis is like, all right, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? So Davis is like, okay, I appreciate it. I owe you one. All right. So from there, Saxe is already thinking, like, if I can get in here, I can get all that I need to get from Diana, and I can turn that over to Sullivan, and we can get all of these moves out of the way, right? So from there, we head back over to the Tejada's house where Monet and the family are sitting down. And Monet she's really worried about Diana flipping the table on her, because, she said if it was either Drew or Kane, she wouldn't have no problems at all. But Diana would be quick. Now she's thinking about all she done did to Diana, where she could potentially turn her back on her. Now she's a little concerned. But see, Monet, you should have been worried about that while you were treating your daughter in the way that you were treating her. But anyway, that's neither here or there. So Kane states that he's going to go down to Stansfield to see what's going on. So Monet is like, okay, you go ahead and do that. So then we head back to the rooftop, and Davis tells Saxe what's going on. And I got a little bit ahead of myself, but I just wanted to put that in there. And then what do? We head over to the interrogation room where we see Diana has been interrogated by Sullivan and Blanca. Now, Of course, Diana thinks this whole situation is because Salim has set her up, has told her a little bit of information, went behind her back. So she thinks this all has to do with him because, of what he's already conveyed to her. So she was like, oh no, this is Salim. He done put some information out here and he's just mad because I wouldn't give him any play, right? But Sullivan is like, oh no, shawty, it ain't going down like that. No, we got actual pictures of you on the rooftop doing what you're doing with the stash, and we've already confiscated those items in that stash because you were too naive to look around in your surroundings, shouting, and see what was going on. You just got lax in your ways. See, that's what I keep trying to tell these people. If you gonna play this big girl, big boy, big man type of game, you cannot sit up here and just get lax in your ways. Like, you always have to be on the up and up. Anyway, I'm not gonna say too much. I'm not gonna say too much about that. But anyhow, so Sullivan and Blanca are like, oh no, this is you. And Diana was like, well, this is my first time. I'm going to be easy. They was like, oh, no, you looking about 20 years, child. And she was like, oh, okay. This is a little bit different. But I was glad that she didn't break at that moment, right? So next we see Davis and Tariq. Now, Davis is in his office and Tariq comes up because while he was on the rooftop and had given, Saxe the okay to go ahead and go check that out for Diana. He receives a text message from Tariq telling him, hey, we need to meet ASAP. So, of course, Davis is like, okay. So he heads back to his office and Tariq comes in and Tariq tells Davis about, the RICO charges. And also with that, he also tells Davis that Lauren is alive. So, it's hit the fan, bro. So Davis was like, well, where did you hear this information from? Well, he had to tell where he got the information from, which was from Lauren, right? So Davis is ready to pop Saxe. So he goes down, he gets the strap, and Tariq is like, hold on, we can't do that. Like, we got to handle this in a whole different situation, in a whole different type of way, right? Because Saxe knows, everything, and we just need to keep it easy and we need to be smart about this. So Tariq tells Davis to stay calm. All right, so Davis tells Tariq that he's on his way down to Diana. So Tariq is like, oh no, we got to stop that because he's going to use that information that he gathers from Diana and he's going to turn that information over to Sullivan, and we cannot help that, that big to get that, to get her case going, right? So next we see Diana back in the interrogation room, and she pretty much asked Sullivan and Blanca, okay. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute, Diana. I know you ain't doing what I think you doing right now. But of course, she asked the question, do you want Monet or you want Tariq? So they was like, okay, well, I guess they want both of them, but I guess they really want Tariq because for some reason they think he's the mastermind behind all of this. So anyhow, and then they're pretty much telling her, like, we know that you transferred to Stansfield so you can get to Tariq. Of course, she's trying to play it off like, oh no, I ain't even come over there for all of that. I came over there to get my studies. But man, come on, man. We already know what it was. When you seen old boy, you were mesmerized. Like, let me get my thoughts together, man. But yeah, so they're going in and I guess like I said, they opted for Tariq, I'm assuming. It really didn't go into detail about that. So next we see Monet and Drew. They're back at the crib and they're just talking it up and they hear a knock on the door, right? So Tariq walks into the door and Drew is giving him this look like, I bet you better have a good daggone reason of being here, right? Like, why you mad at Tariq? Tariq didn't have anything with you popping old boy in the tub. I mean, it is what it is, bruh. But anyway, so Tariq tells them that they're attempting to hit them with a RICO. So while Drew is sitting there with, all this anger in his heart and like that because he's mad about what went down. He's also sitting here thinking about now, oh, this is bigger than what I thought it was. Now y'all, it's got a RICO going on. So he looks at his mom Monet like, oh, like. So next we head back to Sullivan and Blanca in the interrogation, right? So Diana is like, my family, all I know is that my family owns a bar. We don't have nothing to do with no drugs, no killings, no nothing, no whoop, whoop, whoop. And Blanca is like, well, that's a whole lot of daggone potential victims from this bar, this family, from these drugs and all of this stuff. And she asked the question to Diana, like, where would you be standing? Where will you be standing when all of this clears, right? So Diana is looking at her sternly like, okay, like, what do y'all want? I'm not giving you any more information that you don't need, and I'm not giving it over. So next we see Cane and Effie. Now, I already knew this was going to go down. You know what I'm saying? But I just figured out, you know, that it would come later on in the season, but obviously it's right here and now. So Cane comes to Stansfield to get some information, supposedly about, you know, Diana from Effie, right? And because he says, you know, they both attracted to, you know, scrawny niggas or something like that, you know, something to that effect. And he also is there to inform her that Diana has been, you know, arrested as well. But while he's there, you know, things go in another direction because now Effie is asking him, you know, oh, you think you could just pop up at any time because you put money down on my books for my school, whoop, whoop, whoop. And he was like, no, I just figured that you needed the help and I was here to do it for you. So she was like, oh, for real? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Well, since you dropped that since you dropped it off for me, man, let me drop something off for you. Man, let me get right, man. Like I said, man, I already knew it was going to go down, but I didn't know it was going to go down this early, right? So let's go ahead and skip past this because it is what it is, right? So next we see Sullivan and Saxe. Now, Saxe shows up to the precinct with where Sullivan is now leaving, and they meet up in the hallway where it looks like she's getting ready to leave and he's coming in, and he informs her that he is here to represent Diana. So of course she's like, hold on, wait a minute, like, how's that gonna work? Like, that ain't gonna work, bro. You about to mess this whole case up because of, you know, your interest in all of this. And he was like, no, it's cool. You know, David sent me over here to take care of everything. And she was like, And then she pretty much gave him the headway to go ahead and do it because of what he conveyed to her, telling her, you know, hey, you know, I'm going to be able to get this information. We'll be able to find out where they're hiding all this, and we'll be able to go from there. So from there, meanwhile, Davis is outside in the car, and he's really thinking about, you know, well, number one, he's cleaning himself up because he's not at himself. He's also pissed off because he already knows that he's been set up by Saxe, and he's been the, you know, the mole for this whole investigation. And all this time he's been asking him about Lauren, and now, you know, he finds out that Lauren is still technically alive, and Saxe knew all about all of this from the very beginning. Well, not from the very beginning, but he found it out anyhow and never conveyed that to his boss. So now, Davis is sitting in his car. He's getting himself together. And when he walks into the precinct, he sees Sullivan and Saxe. They whispering in the hallway, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to get you the information, you know what I'm saying? So Davis is peeking behind the hallway. Why am I whispering? Anyway, he's peeking out from, you know, the side of the corner. And he's like, okay. All right, so niggas they want to, you know, whisper. So he comes out and he said, oh, what's good? What's good? Like, excuse me. And they were like, oh, well, you know, his Saxe go, oh, you know, I was just telling her that she can't interrogate. She can't come in out, you know, ask any certain questions to our client like that. And of course, David's like, man, whatever y'all talking about. And he goes ahead and walks on into, you know, the room. Then, of course, you know, Saxe and Sullivan, they pissed off now because all that you were just talking about is not going to work, bruh, because Davis is now in the room. So all that interrogation stuff, but you were going to get all the information and fetch it for me and give it back to me, it sounded good, but it ain't going to work. So once Saxe gets into the interrogation room with Davis, he's going in, he's trying to retrieve the information so he can go ahead and give it over to Sullivan. But Davis is already keen to that. So of course he's like, no, we're gonna do this in a different way, and whoop whoop whoop. So anyway, what happens is while Diana's pretty much getting ready to spill the beans a little bit to Saxe, Davis spills, this hot, what is that called? Coffee in the lap of in the lap of Saxe, right? So I was like, oh man, I'm sorry, partner. I'm sorry, man. Like, man, that's gonna leave a stain, man. We need to go ahead and clean that. So while he's in the midst of doing all of that right there, Davis slips a little notepad note to Diana. So she quickly scoops it up, puts it under the table, and they walk up out of the room, and Davis pretty much tells her, oh, I think we got pretty much everything we need. So on the note, it says to blame everything on Effie. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why on Effie? Like, I understand it, but I didn't understand it because I'm like, okay, why put everything on Effie? But anyway, it came out to be a smart idea. So, of course, Diana's like, what the hell? Like, okay, that's what you asked me to do. I'm going to do it. But it didn't look that way when you saw her facial expression. If you're looking at her facial expression right now, that's exactly what I was able to see. And you probably saw the same thing. So you didn't know. There were question marks all over your head as well. But anyway, from there, man, we head over to Kane and Effie. So now look, Kane wakes up in bed with Effie. Like they together. Like, and they sitting there like they're a whole couple, man. So there's a knock on the door, and it happens to be Tariq. So he comes in, and before he comes in, there's a phone call or a text or something. I believe it's a phone call from Monet. So the phone rings for Monet, and Kane doesn't pick it up. All right, so while he's in the midst of talking to Effie, there's the knock on the door. So let me go back. There's the knock on the door right now. And when the knock comes on, it's Tariq. All right, so he comes in, but before he comes in, Effie says, I ain't got time for this today. Can you go ahead and hide out in the bathroom? And he was like some sucker. And she was like, please, can you just do that for me? So, of course, he hides off in the bathroom because he's catching feelings right now. He don't want to admit it, but, man, you just can't hit it and quit it like that. Everybody ain't built that way, okay? And obviously you not, because you digging Effie right now. So you just gonna go ahead and make your way on to that bathroom so you don't mess up anything, all right? So when Tariq comes in, he comes in and he tells her, about getting back into the business. Like, you want to get back into the business, right? And she was like, okay, but F you though, like, the way you treated me and all this stuff like that when I was trying to look out for you. He was like, all right, man, we ain't getting into all of that because I know you lying. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't say that, but you could tell in his disposition that no, we're not there. So he said, hey, you trying to get back into business or not? Well, she was like, yeah, but you're going to have to give me some things that I can do on the side as well. So he was like, okay, obviously, because she agreed to it. So from there, man, we head back to the Tejada's house. Now, the whole time that Kane has been away, he was supposed to be out getting information, but of course he didn't go do that. He went and got something else. So all this time Monet has been trying to get in contact with him because she got this meeting going on and she's trying to figure out what her next plans or next move is at this point. So at this point, Monet has the Castillos over at the house and they're having this meeting. So it's Monet, Drew, and the rest of Gordo's brothers, and of course the mom is there. So she tells them that they need to shut down the operations for a little while because the feds are watching, not watching everybody, but just watching, the Tejadas, not y'all. They don't even know y'all got shit to do with it. So we just gonna keep it low right now. But of course, while she's in the midst of talking, one of the brothers had to be disrespectful so the mom had to get him into place, right? But so while all of that's going down, Gordo, they're getting ready to leave. So obviously they agree to the whole situation, and Gordo's mom is like, okay, we good at this point. So while they're leaving, Gordo's mom asked if Drew had heard or seen anything from Gordo or heard anything from Gordo. And of course, Drew is like, no, I ain't heard nothing from him. Woo, woo, woo. So she's like, okay, well, just let us know. And then he got this look on his face. So in the meantime, we head over to Braden's crib, and Kiki knocks on his door. So Kiki shows up at Braden's crib, and of course he's pissed off, like, okay, really, you gonna come over to my crib? And she was like, well, I'm just checking in on you, because it's been a rough week pretty much. So she states that they pretty much the same. Why you getting pissed off? You in the drug game, I'm in the game where I'm stealing people's money. We're pretty much criminals together. So your secret is safe with me, just like my secret is safe with we. So she pretty much told him that, hey, you just need to stick to the plan. But also with that, by the way, Monet keeps trying to get in contact with Lucas, and we need that to stop, because we need you to put your big boy pants on, and we need you to go ahead and take care of that, your own client, right? The one that you brought all this money from, that you got me working behind the scenes for on this Ponzi scheme. I need you to go ahead and get that together, right? So Braden's like, what the hell? Like, okay. So anyway, from there we head back to the Tejada's house. And now Kane finally shows up, and he was like, oh man, yeah, what's going on, mama? And of course Monet is pissed off at this point. Monet was like, man, look, I ain't got time for this. Like, where have you been? Why have you not been answering my daggone phone calls and all of this? And he was like, oh man, she was like, F you, Negro, you was out there worried about your you were worried about that thing down below, not what you were concerned about. So what I need you to focus on is about this whole situation with this Rico. And he was like, Rico? She was like, yeah, Negro, that's what I've been trying to get in contact with you about, because we're trying to put together a plan to keep us up out of jail. But obviously you ain't down with that, because you focus on other things, that college punani up down at the at the school down there in Stansfield. So anyway, from there, man, we head over to what did we head over to? Yeah, we head back over to the office to Weston Holdings, right? So we see Tariq and Braden. Braden tells him that Weston Holdings is a Ponzi scheme. All right, so Tariq is like, what the hell, dude? Like, for real? Like, that means all of my trust fund money is gone, all the money from RSJ, all of this is a game, man. Like, we need to figure out what to do. And not only that, the Tejada's money is gone as well. So, of course, Braden feels nervous about that, because he already knows Monet ain't about to play. He already knows that she ain't about to play no games with him on that. So from there, he's nervous, and he tells Tariq, okay, we need to figure it out. So from there, of course, like I just said to y'all, Monet don't play no games. So, Negro, you didn't answer my phone call, so now I'm going to show up at your club. I'm going to show up at your golf course, and I'm about to show you what time it is for real. So Monet she shows up at the golf course decked down, gets up there, and the old boy tries to stop her and try to tell her that, oh, ma'am, this is a private, this is a members only balcony or something like that. And she ain't trying to hear nothing he talking about. So the guys that was sitting with Lucas, they like, oh, do you know this woman? And of course, he was like, oh, well, let her come in. She's a great client or a great friend of mine and all this stuff. Woo, woo, woo. So a guy's like, okay. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Lucas. So Monet pretty much tells him, like, hey, I'm not like your other clients, and when I call you, you need to pick up the phone. I said, yeah. See, Lucas ain't had nobody talk to him like this. Monet don't give two F's about what he talking about with his, co-workers or whomever they are right now at this table. What I'm trying to tell you, when I call you, you need to pick up the phone because I ain't like now other client that you got. So you need to be mindful of who you talking to. As a matter of fact, when I want my money back, you best to give me my money back on demand. I don't need no hesitation or nothing like that because I won't hesitate to put a bullet in your, you know. So anyway, man, from there, man, we see Diana and Saxe. Now, she's playing this game again, which I'm getting used to Diana doing right now because she's playing this flip-flop. And I'm sort of liking it because at first I thought she was getting ready to turn the tables on Monet. Well, not Monet. I thought she was going to turn the tables earlier on somebody, but she didn't. It worked out for the best. I thought, well, it was Monet. I thought she was going to give her family up at one time, but that was the whole situation with Whitman. So it went down, a lot differently. But in this case, she's actually saving herself. So I thought it really was going to go down differently, but it didn't because now Diana is sitting there talking to Saxe, and she tells him that she doesn't trust Davis. I just don't trust him, and he seems a little off. So she puts everything pretty much like the letter said, like the note stated, put everything on Effie. So Saxe buys this, of course, and he takes that stuff back to Sullivan, of course. So he states that she has a lot to lose and whoop. But Blanca's like, well, we've already investigated all of that, and it's nothing there, right? But Saxe is like, she got everything to lose. Like, she's the one in school. She's the one that's getting into education. She doesn't have the means to go to school. So why wouldn't she be part of this whole situation? And so Blanca is like, okay, dude, are you ready to blow your cover for all of this? And he hesitates for a moment, and he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So from there, we see Kane and Drew. So Kane is sitting on the phone. Like I told y'all, man, he done got in real deep with Effie right now. So he all up on the telephone, on the steps, talking sweet misses and kisses to old girl Effie, and he hears this loud scream from upstairs, and it happens to be his brother Drew, who is now throwing all over the room because he's seeing something on TV that he's displeased about. So when Kane comes up to the room, Drew is like, man, he pretty much says nothing to Kane, turns on the television, and it shows old boy. And, his first situation, his first little flame that he was trying to make work, but old boy didn't want to work. And now, he's upset because old boy's on TV. He's talking about like how he's ready to come out and all this stuff. So now Drew done killed, one guy that he was having feelings for, and now all of a sudden the dude that he actually had feelings for, that was college educated, was going to be well off potentially in the NBA, possibly, that is the dude that he wanted. But now that dude is nowhere in the picture because now old boy said, I want to come out, and I had this strong support system, and I'm ready to come out and be the first in the NBA to be openly like this. And then it's all thanks to my boyfriend. So he was like, oh, heck no. So now he's pissed off about it. And I ain't even going to get into it, man, but it is what it is, man. So from there, we see we're back at Stansfield. Now, at Stansfield, typically they're having a classroom setting where they're having, these deep discussions about a specific topic. Well, for this night, they're having the congressional debate that's featuring Tate, of course, with his line at, and his opponent, Annie or something like that. I think her name is Annie. And in attendance at this debate, you have RSJ, you have Braden's dad and his uncle Lucas, and I'm quite sure a lot of key people are there. The only key person that's not there is Tariq, of course. So anyway, going through that, you go through this whole thing with brother Tate and Annie. They going back and forth, and she pretty much points up the fact that he's done, or he has connections to a lot of illegal things that's going on in the city. And of course, he's trying to deflect with all of that. And while he's in the midst of talking, you see the camera pan off to Lucas, and he pretty much states that they found their man. So I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about with that, but I'm quite sure we're going to find out, right? So from there, we see Davis in his office, and Saxe shows up. So Saxe is pretty much trying to talk to him because this whole situation with he thinks everything is in the bag and all this stuff because of the information that he's received from Diana. So when he gets in there, Theo shows up, and Theo comes in and he was like, oh, I want to apologize. Woo, woo, woo. The treatments, I'm going through this treatment process, and the doctor has conveyed to me that the treatments are working. So of course, Davis is excited about, number one, seeing his brother. His brother is talking to him again. And thirdly, that the treatment is actually working. So he feels like it's going to work out great. So in the midst of all of that, Saxe is sitting up here putting his hands on his brother and just talking it out like, oh, that's great, woo, woo, woo. But he just doesn't know that Davis ain't effing with him at this point right now. So of course he's like, hey, can I talk to my brother for a little while without you not being in the midst? So of course Saxe leaves, and of course Theo is like, hold on, bro, what's going on? I feel a little hostility in your voice when you're talking to Saxe. Like, what's up? So Davis is like, hey, I'm a little messed up right now because I could have effed up, because of this whole situation with you getting out of prison, and I actually had Saxe do all this work as well. So he's feeling some type of way. So of course his brother's like, hold on, and you let this man leave up out of here, and he's a mole, not he's a mole, but he's not great for the team. Like, pretty much that he ain't no good, and you let him up out of here. And Davis is like, hey, I got it covered. So his brother, who was pissed off at this moment, he was like, look, you should understand this, because at the same point, you good, but you sometimes need to realize that you're not the smartest MF in the room. I was like, ooh, that hurt, bro. So even Davis raised up like, hold on. Like, he raised back a little bit like, okay. So from there, we see Tate. He looks like he's in the dressing room from after the debate, and we see Harper coming in. Tate is like, what's good, baby? It's good to see you, you know what I'm saying? And Harper, she stands off a little bit, and she was like, hey, I saw you speaking to Lucas Weston, and Tate is like, yeah, I was just talking to him, and we got this little luncheon tomorrow, we're gonna meet up. And she was like, that's not good. Like, you need to hold off on some of the company that you're keeping, because these are not great people for you to be around. Definitely if you're trying to place your campaign in the right direction. So of course Tate is like, oh babe, you know what? For you, I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that meeting. And she was like, for real? And he was like, yeah, babe, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it for you. So she's pleased by hearing that, because at first she thought that he was this dirty type of dude, which he really is. But for Harper, he's trying to show up like he's not that dude. So anyhow, from there, we see RSJ and Tariq. So after the debate, Tariq shows up, and RSJ is like, hey, Tariq, I missed you in the debate. And Tariq is like, look, we got others to talk about at this moment, and I don't even know how to say it, bro, but the situation that we got into was a Ponzi scheme, right? So, of course, RSJ is like, what the? He's like, what the? All right, hold on, wait a minute. Like, the only reason why I'm in this situation, number one, is because of your little shiesty. You know what I'm saying? Because I was getting ready to pull up out of this deal, but because of you, I decided to make good with Lucas. But now, at this point, I'm F, and Tariq was like, hold up, swole up. I'm about to take it back on y'all real quick. Hold up, swole up. Listen, you ain't the only one effed up in this situation, because as I know, and you both know, as we both know, My money was tied up in this situation as well. So what are you going to do about that? That's really what I want to know. That's why I'm coming to you. So of course, RSJ has to spend this a lot differently, because at this point, RSJ knows that Tariq's money is tied up in this as well, and he's not as well off as RSJ. So let's go ahead and get it, RSJ. So from there, man, we head back over to Stansfield, of course, and now, you know, the DEA and everybody, they're trailing Effie. So Effie, who's riding around in the little Corolla Toyota, and you know, trying to stay, you know, all out of the space, trying to fly under the radar with the Corolla. At the same time, the ties have switched, because now they got their eyes on him because of what Saxe has shared with her. So we see her going to the warehouse. She's going to pick up what it looks like actual, you know, products and merchandise in boxes that she's either getting ready to ship or to pick up, where they can go and package it up at the distribution spot, which is the warehouse. So from there, they're taking pictures and all this stuff, which you can see on the screen here. And then the next thing we see is Saxe sitting at his desk, and he calls up Sullivan, and he's like, "What's going on? I haven't heard anything." And Sullivan is like, "Yeah, it's about to go down right now." So he was like, "Okay, well, just let me know." And she was like, "Okay, I got you." You know what I'm saying? So from there, I forget what else went on, but obviously it was not important at this point. If it's something important, I will share it later on. But from there, we see Drew. He's sitting at the bar at this restaurant, and he's looking at the images of his old fling and his new boo, and he's just drinking it up, and he's a little lit at this point, so he's angry. So at the restaurant at the same exact time, it had to be ironic, right? Drew sees his old fling and his new boy toy at the restaurant. So of course he's like, "Drew, I thought that was you. Like, why would..." So of course Drew turns around, "Hey," all loud. And so when they meet up face to face, and Drew didn't meet face to face at that point. He was like, "Man, you got you a good man, woo, woo, woo." And he starts to insult old boy, and his new partner's like, "Hold on, wait a minute, nah, we're not gonna get down like that." But of course, his old fling is like, and I forget his name. I apologize, I forget it. He has been in a couple of episodes, but anyway, so he pretty much, is sitting there, and he's listening to Drew, and he hearing the pain of Drew and all this stuff. So Drew is going through this whole spiel talking about the dude, that he was feeling, he's no longer here and all this stuff. So he gets real emotional about the situation, and old boy grabs him up and gives him a hug and holds him tightly, right? So from there, Drew is just tearing up, he's tearing up, and tears are flowing, "Don't go chasing waterfalls." That's what he was crying. He was crying waterfalls, bro. So from there, man, we see, what do we see, man? I don't forgot up here saying, man. We head back over to Effie. So Effie done picked up everything, and now she's headed back to the spot. She's getting out of the car, and then she's, while she's taking the stuff or getting ready to take the items out of the vehicle, she hears the cars coming up. They hit the sirens, and they go ahead and get up on Effie. And she's like, "Hold on, wait a minute, what's going on?" And they are pretty much saying, "You're under arrest," and they're trying to detain her. And while they're detaining her on the outside, they're headed on the inside to, see what they can find out. So they done bust into the bakery or the warehouse or something like that, where they meet up, where everything was going down. And when they get in there, they just so happen to find, this Ziploc bag on the table, and it has, product on the inside. I was like, "Come on, y'all left everything out." But anyhow, once they get in there, old boy takes his little thing out, and he's mixing it up, and then he's scooping, the little powdery substance out of the bag, and he's putting it off in there. He's mixing it up, know that he got it good. So he looks at it, he said, "Oh, it's showing negative." And so, of course, he puts his hand back off in there, and he starts to rub on the material. So I thought it was some daggone baking soda or something like that. I just figured that's what they were using. But anyhow, it was sugar. So it was like, oh, it's sugar. So I was like, daggone, all right. So in the meantime, Effie is still being retained outside. They got her, detained with two guys on her. And of course, when they come out, it's a guy that comes out and says, well, let her go. There's nothing in there. So of course, she was like, well, y'all heard him. He said, let me go. But in the meantime, now we see back in the corner up on top of a hill, it looks like we see Tariq, who got this camera down on, the whole situation, looking at this whole situation from afar on the camera, and he done switched everything out. I was like, all right, Tariq, all right, that's what you need to do. So, of course, he sends a text message to Monet, which says done. So, of course, she's pleased by that. And then Monet sends a text message over to Gordo's mom to let her know that it's been done. So both of these individuals seem to be relieved of this situation. But in the meantime, the plot thickens, y'all, because while everything looks good on this end, Drew's situation just got a little more hectic because Gordo's brother comes in and it's like, hey, Mom, check this out. So he brings in this tablet and he's showing this video that has happened to go viral just that quickly, right? So a couple of hours ago, Drew was, crying waterfalls out on old boy's shoulder, and somebody obviously recorded. That's really why you gotta be careful with the things you do in public, because everybody has a phone, everyone has a camera, and since it's not on them, they don't have no problem at all dropping it on social media. So at this point, Gordo's brother has been looking at something, ironically has just been looking at it, and he found this video that has gone viral of Drew talking about this whole situation about an old dude that he was with that's no longer here. So of course, Gordo's mom is like, okay, I'm gonna have to go talk to Drew again, because he just told us earlier that everything was good, that he didn't know nothing bad about, that whole situation with Gordo. So we're going to have a side conversation with him once again. So from there, we see Monet, and Tariq comes into the house, and he's talking about everything going down. Kane shows up, and Kane is like, what's good, whoop, whoop, whoop. But while they're in the midst of talking, there's a knock on the door once again, and it happens to be Effie. So Effie comes in, and she's like, well, I don't understand why y'all did it. I understand why y'all did it, but I just don't understand why y'all couldn't include me into this whole situation so I would have known. But then she also is a little hypocritical, Effie, because then you turn around and say, well, I would have done the same thing to y'all as well. Like, okay, so why are you mad about it if you would have done the same thing as they? I don't get that, Effie. But anyway, so then once she gets done with her whole, telling y'all how she feels about the situation, then she gonna turn around and look at Kane like, you ready? Like, you ready to go? And Kane is like, yeah, man, I'm gonna let y'all handle this whole little TED talk, Ma, and I'm gonna be up out of here. Like, of course, Tariq is like, hey, you know about that? And Monet is like, I don't give a heck. I don't care who hitting who. What I'm talking about is trying to stay up out of prison, bro. So, of course, Tariq feels some type of way, but he can't really say nothing about it because you were the one that let all of that go. So, let's move on. So, from there, we see Saxe and Sullivan. They're sitting at her office, it looks like, and she's just pouring the sugar all out in front of him. She making it rain in front of his face, man. So he's like, oh, man. And she's like, look, sugar, Saxe. Sugar. We went off of your intel. We went off of what you conveyed to us. And I pretty much put my name on the line because of what my CI had conveyed to me. And this is what we got. So he was like, hold on, no. And she was like, no, I told you that Diana was smart, but you didn't want to believe me. And he was like, no, he said, y'all made a mistake. Like, did y'all check everything? She was like, look, man, we looked at everything, which they didn't, because the only thing we saw them look at was that Ziploc bag on the counter. I guess they looked through, but we didn't see it, images of that. So I assume they did. But anyway, we'll take her word for it, right? So from there, Saxe is like, hold on, wait a minute. Something can't be right. So, of course, Sullivan is like, look, I've exhausted all of my, my manpower on this whole situation. And unfortunately, I can't give you any, protection. So, of course, Saxe was like, hold on. Like, you sitting up here talking about protecting me out of all the stuff that I done for you behind the scene and all this stuff like this. And then you're trying to tell me that you can't protect me? Like, really? So she was like, look, bro, I don't have nothing to do with it. Like, and of course he's like, he bringing up old stuff at this point. Like, I really thought we could work this out because I thought what we had was special and all this. And Sullivan is like, bro, you want nothing but another piece. Like, move on. Like, my obligation is to win these cases. My obligation is to get this crime off the street. And you just fell for another. You just another day sucker. So, Saxe, pick up your feelings off the desk and let's roll on out. So, of course, he feels some type of way about it, of course. And Sullivan is like, it's time to go, bro. So, from there, he walks out in the parking lot. And, of course, he gives a phone call to Tariq. So, he threatens Tariq now. Now, you know that you already got a target on your head. So why, if you think that Tariq is this killer of all killers, and now you're going to call him and poke the bear? Like, come on, Saxe. You're smarter than this, bro. But anyway, so he calls Tariq. He pretty much threatens him. And he's like, look, I know where your sister is. I know where your mama is. And if something happens to me, dude, listen, you will never find that shit out. So you just need to, call your dogs off, do whatever you need to do. While he's getting in the car, he's still going in. And while he's talking, Theo pops up from behind the seat. I don't even know why he didn't care to look underneath his car, behind his car, in the trunk, Look, you already knew a target was on your head, bro. But anyway, so Theo tells him, look, shut up, drive. So, of course, he leaves the parking lot. From there, we see Tariq sitting at a desk, and he actually gets the voice message from Saxe, who just left a voicemail from him because he cut off his phone call when Theo popped up. So from there, we see RSJ, Tariq, Braden, and Lucas sitting in the office, and Lucas is all, well, I'm so glad that we could have gotten together, and RSJ is like, shut the F up, bro. I was like, hold on, wait a minute, RSJ, like, where's all the where's all the, the integrity and the professionalism and all of it? So he goes straight to the punch, man. He was like, hold on, man, listen, I need you to shut the F up and listen. I already know the game. I know it's a Ponzi scheme, and I need you to give me my money back. So when he says that, Lucas immediately looks at Braden with disgust in his heart and in his mind, and unfortunately, it's out now. So go ahead and deal with it. So, and Lucas is like, unfortunately, I don't have the funds, and RSJ is ahead of the game with him. He said, no, I got a payment plan for you. Just because I know your books, I know what you got going on, you're going to be able to pay my money back as well as Tariq's trust fund. And by the way, Braden is sitting on the sideline like, oh, and also the Tejada's money as well. And if you don't, then I already got a call ready to go over to, the people that it needs to go over to, so this stuff can be shut down. So, of course, Lucas is upset at this point, and then he starts to go in on Tariq. Like, I know you think this is the hood, bro. And, of course, Tariq is like, shut the F up. Like, the whole world is the ghetto. Like, in the I.R.E. song, like, the whole world is a ghetto, bro. And it is a ghetto. Even as we speak, what we're looking at is the ghetto. But anyhow, I ain't gonna get on that tangent. Anyhow, Lucas is upset at Brady. He's upset at RSJ. He's upset at the whole daggone world at this point because he feels like he's losing grip on the powers, that be, at his company. Like, he's a little upset at this point. So at that point, we see Tate with his line back at his office. It looks like, or is he coming to see his girl? And I think he's at his office. So He's in there. No, she's at her office. And he comes in and he's talking about, oh, we got these concert tickets, MJ Live, whoop, whoop, whoop. And she got this look of disgust on her face. And he was like, what's wrong? She was like, I got word from Brashonda, like, I've been talking to her. He was like, look, man, I can't help that she got them things jiggling in front of my face. Look, I ain't trying to look, but they just there. You know what I'm saying? She was like, nah, it ain't got nothing to do with no titties in your face at this point. She just told me that you still had a meeting with Lucas. And he was like, damn, like, okay, yeah, I did have a meeting with Lucas. That's my bad. I did have a meeting with him. And she was like, but you told me that you weren't going to have no meeting with Lucas. So he was like, with all of that, yeah, I did have a meeting with her, and I'm going to start telling the truth at this. I'm going to start telling the truth at this point. And she was like, look, you should have been telling the truth because I've already been telling you the truth. And he was like, well, I'm going to try it now. And he said, I'm going to start right now because I'm going to tell you also that he gave me a donation as well. And she was like, oh, well, you're going to have to give that back, though. And he was like, I'm down with not meeting, but I'm not down with losing, though. So I just can't foresee myself getting the money back, and I'm not going to lose this race. And she was like, oh, okay, Nick, that's funny, because you're about to lose me. I was like, I was like, okay. So from there, man, we head back over to Davis's office, and Davis is sitting there listening to the message from Saxe. All right. So Davis is like, okay, old boy's already ahead of the game. He's probably already hidden up in some house up in the mountains somewhere. And Tariq is like, no, we need to make sure that he's good because I've been trying to get in contact with him. I just haven't been able to get in contact with him, but I've been trying to because he just stayed on the voicemail and he knows where my mom and my sister are, and I need to be able to know where they are, of course. So from that point, Davis was like, okay. He said, well, we'll figure that out. But in the meantime, he gets a phone call from Theo's doctors, of course, and Davis is his first point of connect, right? So when he gets a phone call, he was like, yeah, this is McLean, and he was like, yeah, I'm his first point of contact, whoop, whoop, whoop. And he was like, oh, well, he conveyed to me, obviously, that, the treatments were working, but obviously the doctor told him otherwise, because immediately when he gets off the phone call, he calls his brother Theo, which his brother Theo doesn't pick up. So when he turns around and Tariq sees the look on his face, Tariq is like, is everything okay? Is everything cool? And Davis was like, no, because my brother isn't picking up the phone and he's not taking his treatment, so he's sick. He's getting ready to die. And he was like, hold on. He said, when was the time you got that message from Saxe? He told him. He was like, I think I know where he is. So he figured out from the time of the message to the time that he told his brother about everything that went down, he was quite sure that his brother had something to do with Saxe not returning phone calls. So from there, we see Monet. She's standing outside of the police station, and we see Diana coming out. So Diana, they don't even embrace each other. I don't even know what type of relationship this is with mother and daughter. But anyhow, and I don't see this with any of her kids. Like, they just come in, hey, mom, no love, no nothing. I was like, damn, like, Monet is real heartless. Like, you haven't seen your daughter in, within 48 hours. But anyhow, so from there, Diana's like, look, mom, I'm ready to get up out of this. I just want to go to, clean my slate. I just want to go down to, Spelman and get away from all of this. And I know you got the money to do it. And Monet's like, Negro, please, like, you sit up here talking about getting away. I'm trying to stay up out of prison. Get your little black... Get your butt up in the truck. So, of course, Diana don't say nothing else. She get up in the car, and, of course, she got something to say up in the car. Like, I hate this. Like, Diana, this has put food on your table. This is your life. This is what you were born into. So, unfortunately, Diana, you just going to have to deal with it, boo. You know what I'm saying? Make the best of it. Or you can leave and not be involved in it at all and do what you need to do on your own without Monet, without Kane, without Drew. See how that works for you, right? So from there, we see Effie, she and her old boy done got it down again, and they getting dressed and all this stuff. And no, they not getting dressed. They still laid up, and there's a knock on her door. This was the episode of Knocks, because we've seen 3 times something was knocking at the door, and it's a special guest at the door. So this time it happens to be a special guest by the name of the DEA, and Blanca is coming in with all guns blazing at this point, because now she's coming in and she tells, she knocks on the door and says that, hey, this is guest services or something like that, or hospitality or something like that, something over the dormitories or something like that. I forget what she said, but she comes in and she was like, Effie, you are under arrest. So Effie is like, hold on, wait a minute, like, we've already seen the house was, like, the place was clean, like, what are y'all doing? So she was like, look, go ahead and put them cuffs on her. Kane gets up and he was like, hold on, you got a warrant for arrest? She says, sit down and shut up before I arrest you. So Kane shuts up, right? So of course, when Kane shuts up, of course he's going to follow to see what's going on with Effie. So Blanca and the rest of the crew, they take Effie down to, the vehicle with the, the all blacked out vehicle. And guess who we see standing in front of the vehicle? It's Sullivan with her legs crossed like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to get you by any means necessary. So when she gets to the car, Effie's like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all have already seen that the warehouse had nothing in it. It was clean, so I'm not guilty of that. And she was like, oh, you thought we were coming at you for a drug charge? No, we're coming at you for attempted murder, babe. So she was like, huh? So in the meantime, while she's talking about that, the back window rolls down, and guess who we see? We see Lauren on the back seat talking about, yeah, that's the one that tried to kill. So the look on Effie's face was priceless, y'all. Like, she was like, oh, what the, like, I thought I did the do on her, but obviously you didn't do it well enough. You didn't even stay around to see the car get down deep into the water. So from there, we see Kane coming out. So Kane is like, okay, what's going on? So he looks, and he was like, hold on, wait a minute. So he takes another look. Let me widen up my eyes a little bit. And he said, hey, yeah, that's Lauren. So all of y'all has been lying to me. Like, that's pretty much what's going through his head, because I thought that Tariq had done the do. Obviously, that wasn't done. No, not Tariq. I thought Braden had done it, but Braden didn't do it. I thought he gave it over to you. And you sit up here lying to me, telling me that you would handle business as well. And now all of a sudden, I'm finding out that all y'all is lying. I was like, dang, go, man. So Lauren got this look on her face. Blanca got this look on her face like she's accomplished something tonight. And it's going to get good, y'all. Episode number 8. I'm just saying. But anyway, from there, man, we head over to, the little helicopter spot, man, where we see Theo. Brother Theo got a gun aimed at, Sax. Now, I didn't feel no type of way about this scene, because Sax has done some low down things throughout these seasons, right? So I really didn't feel no type of way, because I knew it was coming at some point in this show. So when I saw him at gunpoint with Theo, I was like, this is about to go down like I expected it to go down, because it was just like too much like right at this point. So Theo got him at gunpoint. He's walking him out there. Davis and Tariq are trying to rush to the spot to stop everything from going down. And Theo sees Davis, and Davis is like, please stop. Don't shoot him. We can work through this. And Theo was like, no, bro, it's over. Like, this is the only way to make it right. So, of course, Sax is like, no, please just think about what you're about to do. And, of course, while he's in the midst of talking, long story short, Theo puts a bullet through him. It is what it is. And Sax drops dead right there at that point. So, of course, everybody on the scene is like, hold on, wait a minute. Please don't do it. And we can work this out. And, of course, Brother Theo is like, no, it's over for everybody. I'm going to be good. You're right. I ain't going back to prison. He said, I'm good, bro. So he looks at it, and I already knew that was about to go down as well because he wasn't taking his treatments like he thought, what he really should have been doing. So he was just able to save his brother once again. That's what he felt in his heart of heart, that I got to do this to save my brother and to make this right, because if not, all of this is going to hit back on my brother. It potentially, probably didn't have to go down that way, Theo. But in this situation, we knew that it definitely was going to go down this way because you killed yourself as well as Saxe. And I knew it was going to happen. And with Method Man, not Method, not Method Man, no, not him. Davis, that's who he is on this show. Sorry. Davis, I had never seen him break down like this. And I would say, Method Man, this was a cooler acting part for you, man. I appreciated the tears, man, and the breakdown, man. You did a pretty good job. You did your thing on this episode. So from there, man, that's pretty much how it ends, man, with, them showing an aerial view of Saxe and Theo laying out at the helicopter landing, and Davis and Tariq just sitting there with their eyes, panned on those two individuals who are no longer here. They dead, they're gone. So anyway, give me your thoughts on this whole situation. Tell me, how you thought this episode went. And of course, I'm glad to be back, man. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares, man. And I promise I won't hold y'all back, ever again like this, man. And I would tell y'all ahead of time, but it was just so much going on that I really didn't. I was watching the shows, but I just didn't have a whole lot of time to get into the shows and do an actual video. But a brother is back, and I'm back in effect. My voice is going out a little bit, but I hope that you guys have enjoyed this review of the show, man. And I'm getting ready to drop a new show today as well, so be on the lookout for that. But anyway, with that being said, man, please like and subscribe to this video. And also, I'll see y'all soon. Peace.